I have one message from your person, and it isn't coming in a text, a call, or a casual moment. It's coming through the quiet, the small gaps of your day, the moments where your thoughts drift and their name slips into your mind uninvited. It's urgent, not because they suddenly remembered you, but because they can no longer contain it within themselves. You might have already felt it, the heaviness in your chest that comes without warning, the random memories that make your heart tighten, the sense that something is missing even when your life moves forward. That's the message trying to reach you, and it has been waiting longer than you can imagine. This message doesn't come with clarity or comfort. It comes with truth, the kind of truth that cannot be ignored, the truth that doesn't care about timing, and the truth that demands recognition. You need to hear it, because their silence has never meant indifference. It has meant everything they could not say, everything they could not face, everything they could not risk. And now, it has reached the point where it cannot remain hidden. The truth they are holding is simple, yet devastating. They never meant to pull away. They never intended to leave you feeling uncertain, abandoned, or invisible. But feelings are complicated, and emotions don't follow instructions. They froze. They froze because caring for you felt too overwhelming, too real. Realness carries responsibility, accountability, and consequences they were unprepared to carry. And so, instead of stepping forward and showing up, they stepped back. They told themselves distance was safer. Distance, they believed, would protect both of you. But distance never protects. It only creates space for reflection, longing, and regret. And now, every day, that distance is shrinking the space between what they feel and what they can no longer ignore. Silence does not erase love. Silence does not erase attachment. Silence magnifies it. You may not have realized it, but the bond between you has been vibrating quietly in the background, influencing both of you without words, without gestures, without explanation. Every time your thoughts drifted to them, it was the bond speaking. Every time you caught yourself replaying moments, conversations, or tiny gestures, it was the bond reminding you that it exists. The connection you shared is not fragile, and it is not forgettable. It lingers, quietly waiting for acknowledgement, waiting for honesty, waiting for the moment your person can confront what they have avoided for so long. And that moment is now. They're experiencing a battle within themselves, unlike any they have faced before. One side longs to reach out, to speak, to apologize, to be honest, to admit they mishandled everything. The other side is terrified of rejection, afraid of reopening wounds, ashamed of the courage they failed to summon when it mattered. Every day they hesitate. The weight of unsent words grows heavier, and the message they have been holding becomes more urgent. The longer they wait, the more they risk losing the chance to convey the truth, the chance to make their intentions clear, and perhaps the chance to reconnect. They replay the past constantly. Conversations that seemed ordinary now feel sacred. The way you listened without judgment, the way you understood even what they didn't say, the subtle ways you made them feel safe. All of it is etched in their memory, and the realization that they didn't fully appreciate it when they had the chance haunts them. The memory of what could have been now collides with the present reality, a reality where hesitation, fear, and ego have kept them silent. And in this collision, they are losing peace, clarity, and comfort, because they know what they feel is real, but their actions have not reflected it. You, on the other hand, have likely spent countless nights questioning yourself, replaying moments in your mind, wondering if you misread signals, overestimated their feelings, or simply imagined the depth of connection. You may have asked yourself if your worth depended on their attention, or if your patience was foolish. None of that is true. You were never too much, never too sensitive, and never undeserving. You were simply connected to someone who could not navigate the depth of their own feelings, someone who could not show up the way you deserved. That does not diminish you. It magnifies the truth of what happened. Love is not always wasted, even when it is mishandled. Your person is acutely aware of the cost of their silence. They understand, at a level that may shock them, that the time they spent avoiding confrontation, protecting their ego, and running from vulnerability has not erased what they feel. In fact, it has made the feelings sharper, more urgent, and impossible to ignore. Every memory of you is a reminder of courage they lacked, wisdom they ignored, and opportunities they allowed to slip away. The longer they hide, the more they realize that avoidance is no protection at all. The message they carry is not just an apology. It is a reckoning, a truth they cannot unhear within themselves, and a recognition that they risk losing something irreplaceable. You may be wondering what that message actually is. The one they cannot bring themselves to say. It is this: I see you. I see how much you cared. I see what I failed to give. I see the truth of what we had, and I am sorry I did not honor it. That is not dramatic, not overly sentimental, not manipulative. It is simple, raw, and honest. And yet, speaking it requires courage they have only recently begun to summon. Until now, fear, ego, and uncertainty have been more powerful than truth. But now the urgency has grown beyond their ability to ignore, because the connection you share refuses to be buried under silence any longer. Even now, as you hear this message, there is a version of them watching you from a distance, noticing your growth, your healing, and the ways you have moved forward without them. They feel relief that you are surviving, thriving, and finding clarity. But alongside that relief is a sharp, painful recognition that they may never fully be part of your life again. Every smile you share without them, every step forward you take, every connection you forge without their presence is proof of what they risked losing. And that awareness is both humbling and terrifying, because the silence they created cannot undo the bond that still exists. They are aware of what fear has cost them. They know that avoiding vulnerability has not protected them, only prolonged the pain. They know that every unsent message, every withheld word, and every avoided confrontation has grown into a weight that bears down on them every single day. They feel longing that cannot be satisfied, regret that cannot be erased, and love that cannot be denied. The combination of these emotions has become unbearable, and that is why this message has reached a breaking point. It cannot be held any longer, because silence is no longer an option. And yet, the message is not a call to action for you. It is not asking you to wait, to hope, or to forgive. It is simply telling you the truth of what exists, so you can release yourself from confusion, doubt, and self-blame. You need to understand that the connection was real, the feelings were mutual, and the ending was never about lack of love. The ending was about lack of readiness. They were not ready to handle what was in front of them. They were not prepared to face the depth of their emotions, and so they created distance, hoping it would protect them, when in reality it only amplified what they could no longer hide. The clarity you need does not depend on them. It has always been within you. You now see that you are loved in ways you might not have understood at the time. You now see that your worth never depended on their attention, your patience, or their courage. You now understand that emotional presence is a reflection of readiness, not a measurement of your value. And when they finally confront what they feel, whenever that may be, it will not define you. It will simply be a confirmation of the truth you already know. You were real, you were present, and you were worthy of love, honesty, and courage. This message is final, in its own way. It says what could not be said in the past. It acknowledges mistakes, it admits fear, and it accepts the consequences of hesitation. And the most important part is that it allows you to finally release yourself from questioning, replaying, or doubting. You can stop wondering if you misread the signs. Stop feeling responsible for their fear, and stop waiting for closure that never came. The message is delivered not in words, but in truth. It is delivered through resonance, understanding, and the recognition that some bonds, though mishandled, cannot be erased. So hear this, and remember, you are not too much, you are not wrong, and you are not undeserving. You are simply connected to someone who could not fully show up when it mattered. And the love they feel now, the regret, the longing, and the urgency of their message exists because of the bond that was real, powerful, and undeniable. It was never your fault that they could not meet you where you were. And now, whether or not they ever reach out, whether or not they finally send the words they have been holding, the truth remains: you were sent, you were valued, and you mattered more than they could fully express. And that is the final, haunting truth. Love, even when unspoken, leaves a mark that cannot be erased. Connection, even when mishandled, leaves a presence that cannot be denied. And the message they carry, urgent and unsent, will forever exist, echoing silently in the space between what was, what could have been, and what still lingers in the hearts of both of you. You are free. Now, free from doubt, free from guilt, and free from waiting. But the weight of what was, the echo of their unspoken words, and the truth of the bond you shared will remain.